Nifty 50, which is the paints sector, Asian Paints, that is in focus. Anushi brings us all the intelligence around it. Anushi, over to you. I know you don't track the sector pretty closely, but this is some good work that we are picking up.
Right. So, a couple of triggers, Hiral, that we are looking at in terms of what's happening with Asian Paints. Not just Asian Paints, a lot of these paint companies that we are seeing are buzzing in trade today. Now, just if we look at the chart and the intraday high of these particular counters, you're looking at gains of more than 4% for counters like Asian Paints as well as Kansai Nerolac as well. So, that's as regards to this. But other counters such as Indigo Paints, Berger Paints also seeing an up move of around 2% or so. So, what's happening? That's the main question that we want to ask, and specifically for Asian Paints, considering that if you just look in terms of this kind of an intraday high that we've seen so far, it's the biggest single day jump that we've seen since March 2022 level. So that's a big update that's coming from Asian Paints. In fact, if you just look at the volumes also, they've recorded the biggest single day jump since this since the 1 month volumes as well. It has also reclaimed its 5-year average P, currently trading at similar levels is also what we are looking at. But let's see overall the key triggers that we are speaking about. First factor that we are seeing is falling Brent crude prices. We'll talk more about detail in terms of what's happening with the crude oil prices. But apart from that, we are looking at a jump up in terms of the festive season demand as well, and with the company's highest share in the urban market. That is a particular interesting area that we are watching out for. Institutional interest is also seen from DII mix also. We'll talk about that in the shareholding pattern as well, and biggest market share in urban markets and with higher demand revival now with the onset of the festive season is another positive that we are looking at. What is important is also their new facility in the 2.65 lakh total metric tons of facility that we are seeing has also commenced production. So that is another key positive that we are seeing. But if we just look at the crude oil prices levels, we've seen this at around $61 a barrel. Now it has continued to see these record lows, 4% down this week, 18% down in this past year. But how would this falling crude prices benefit a company like Asian Paints? Now, if we just look at the overall cost, input cost of this, 35 to 40% is the kind of contribution that comes from this particular segment as well. See, that is the kind of mix that we are seeing for these paint companies. So this would directly result in margin expansion and would be a boost for profitability going forward. So that's a key positive aspect that we are looking at. Apart from that, if you are looking at the shareholding pattern also, while the promoter stake has remained absolutely flat, there's no such change as there. It's the public share that has gone down to 14%, with DI is now inching upwards by 5% in this 1 quarter itself. So that is another interesting part that we are seeing. Coming quickly to the game of valuations, if we just look at the multiple, 81 times was the high PE levels that we've seen. Now in 2025, the levels have come back favorably again. So fair valuation game is what we are seeing. How analysts are predicting this stock? We are looking at an overall neutral view with about a 4% of a downside with so that's with regards to that. But the stock has absolutely not done so well, with higher competitive intensity as well. 5 years return being just 23% or so. So that's the overall picture that we have for Asian Paints and the other companies as well.
Thank you, Anushi, for that. Does this become a re-rating candidate is the question from here on. Avinash, quick view in terms of Asian Paints and Reliance Industries, who actually paired their stake in Asian Paints in the previous quarter, because of which this time we are going to see a downtake in terms of profitability to the tune of 26%. Both the counters, your view.
No, I think, Hiral, you cannot look at this performance on a like-to-like basis. I think that Asian Paints deal needs to be excluded, from the operational earnings. My sense is that Reliance could spring a surprise. Normally, most analysts are wrong on their predictions, and I think you could expect some sort of positive surprise coming in. But yes, I think even if the numbers are flattish or slightly negative, I think the second half looks to be quite interesting. So, if there is a downtick in the price of Reliance, I would be a buyer, and I think we look at a fairly good long-term kind of value upside here. As Sharad was mentioning, the key trigger would be the business kind of, unlocking, and the retail business unlocking, which I think markets may have to wait for some time. And as far as Asian Paints is concerned, I think, Hiral, this is a stock where I think growth has completely gone away, and I think it's going to be very difficult for them now to maintain a steady earnings growth trajectory. Even at these valuations, I would still feel that investors should not stay invested here. I think there are better choices available within the banking, within the capital goods and the auto component kind of sectors. So here I think the company is going to struggle with margins. It's going to struggle with volume growth and a lot of competition, from majors like JSW, typically Krasin, and where customers are going to benefit, but the company is definitely going to see margins getting more lower and lower. So I think I would keep away, despite the fact that it's a marquee leader in this segment. But yes, earnings growth, at least for the next 2 years, is completely ruled out.
Okay, that's with regards to Asian Paints and RIL. Very quickly, Kunal, BTST, STBT, which one would you go for?
Yeah, I would go for your Berger Paints. I think here the structure looks positive. There is an inverted head and shoulder breakout on the chart as well with volumes, and I think it has still more legs left on the upside. So that would be a buy for me as a BTST candidate, keeping a stop loss of 535, looking for targets of 555 to 560 on the upside.
So that's with regards to Berger Paints, which is on the BTST, STBT side. Very quickly, as we are about to close the markets, Avinash, anything that comes to your radar that we probably missed talking about?